booked a trip and wait till next week, and you find out that next week, well, of course, they'd actually turned around and gone back again because it was the hero and he mustn't get killed and all that sort of thing.
Palmer! Why, it's Tom Kirby and Miss Betty. What are they doing here?
Who's next, then? You? Right.
This is Thea Gersten. She's the same age as Ken and Dorothy, but her childhood memories are very different. She grew up in Germany, a country that was being transformed under a new leader.
I was a happy child until things changed, because Hitler came into power when I was 6 and 7. Gradually, our life began to change.
What was happening in Germany would affect Ken and Dorothy in the end, for Hitler was plotting to take over the whole of Europe, including Britain. The German leader began to build up a massive army. He carried his people along with talk of what the new-look Germany could achieve.
Hitler was a dictator who told the German people that he would make them great.
Heute weiß es das ganze Volk.
The whole nation knows that our will has triumphed over Germany's desperate plight.
Nach 15-jähriger Verzweiflung.
After 15 years of despair, a great people is back on its feet.
Hitler told Germans they were a special people and they should look down on others who were different. Gypsies, black people, and above all, Jews. He especially wanted to teach this idea to children and teenagers.
By taking them into certain clubs and organizations and groups, such as the Hitler Youth or the youth work camps, they felt important. It made people feel good to be a true German. Even in the holidays, the children were being taught things about the greatness of Germany. This was all in preparation for, well, we know now, for the war perhaps, or for the idea that Hitler was going to rule all over Europe and possibly the world. One day, I think I must have been about 8, the boy from upstairs, who I used to play with a lot, we met on the stairs, and usually he would say, hello, and let's play, and let's have a game of this or that. He raised his hand to me, and he said, Heil Hitler, and said, I can't play with you ever again because you're a Jew. And he just walked past me. And I think this is one of the moments of my childhood which I remember very clearly, because it was just like being slapped in the face by someone whom I'd liked very much.
As a Jew living in Germany, Thea was in great danger. 1,000 miles away, 10-year-old Ken Target didn't see anything to worry about.
German, Hitler were objects of not exactly hatred, but derision, I think, you know, almost fun. And comics, you know, Rockfist Rogan of the RAF, who was a pilot in the First World War, was a boxer, was always sort of coming down out of the sky over the no man's land and finding a German and knocking him out and all that sort of thing. So there was never any question that they were, that as far as we were concerned at our age, that if there was a war, that anybody other than Rockfist Rogan and the British were going to win.
We had a student once in school who came from Germany, and she quite impressed us with her talk of Hitler's youth party and how fit the Germans were. She anticipated that the British would want to follow the German design and also be, she didn't use the word master race, but I realise now that this is what she was saying. As children, we didn't fully understand But I was quite impressed by our German student at the time, and she told us what a wonderful man Hitler was. It was only as the war progressed and as he progressed, taking more and more land away from people and marching in, that we began to realise what a really bad ruler he was. But to the German people, he was quite a hero.
I know now that the 10th of November, 1938, was the day my childhood ended, because my father's shop was destroyed. Our home was broken into while we were there. All our belongings were smashed up, and the Nazis who came in were swearing at us for being Jews and for being alive. It was very frightening. All Jews knew that we had to leave Germany, and also my family then had to leave, which is easier said than done, because where were we to go?
One step ahead of Hitler, Thea's family, father stayed to look for work. Thea came on to England.
More people at Wembley than ever before. The King is here to greet the teams in the match that's supposed to be over before it starts. The experts are calling Wolverhampton Wanderers this year's wonder team. From the kick-off...
In the summer of 1939, Britain seemed to be carrying on as normal. But behind the scenes, the government was busily preparing for war.
Got saved, but Parker rushes in to make it 3 for Portsmouth.
My mother and I reached England in the middle of July 39. We realized how close to war the world was, because in England we could read papers. The press was free and there was no control, not like in Poland or Germany, where the newspapers had to print what the government asked them to print.
It is now the duty of every citizen to know what to do should an air raid come. Do you know the warning signals? To remind you, we repeat them but softly, to avoid alarming anyone who might hear them outside this theatre.
We were on holiday the last week in August 1939, and my father said, no, we're not going to stop our holiday to go home. It's all politicians again. It's just politicians talking.
Ministers assemble for another fateful cabinet meeting, even as Germany goes through the last diplomatic twists and turns in a final effort to justify the aggressive policy which he is determined to pursue.
He wrote a letter to my father to say, come immediately, be with us. We need to be together in case there will be a war.
I nipped out of bed because I could hear all this rumbling going on, and I saw these Ren gun carriers and all sorts of trucks and things, and naturally being about probably 100 or more vehicles, they stopped periodically, and every time they stopped through that working class estate, out would come people with cups of tea for the soldiers and cigarettes, and so that's really when war became a reality to me.
So we got home on the Saturday and then realised that it really was going to come, and like the rest of the country, I think we were all sat round the wireless waiting for the news that we were actually at war.
On Sunday, the 3rd of September, 1939, the country settled down to hear the Prime Minister. What he told them changed their lives forever.
I have to tell you now that no such undertaking has been received, and that consequently this country is at war with Germany.
On the 4th of September, after Britain had declared war on Nazi Germany, we received a letter from my father, and he said, there won't be a war. Don't worry. I will be with you. On the 14th of September, Poland was overrun, and we never saw my father again.
Nobody had much idea of what the war would really be like or how long it would last. People did what they could to prepare. Then they stood by and waited.